I keep my goals to myself, cause whenever I share it with folks, they get a look upon their face and their memory floats to a time where their goals and the stars ain't...
What's good? We're going to get into Monday Night Raw from June the 8th, 2026. This was an okay episode of Monday Night Raw, simply because of what happened on the show regarding Rey Mysterio and Penta. That match was really good. I wish it would have been able to make the Night of Champions card, and then that way it could have gotten more time. I think that would have been great to have the IC title defended on pay-per-view, which would have been great, but it's fine. We got a really good TV match out of it, which is fine. You can't really complain. This is probably more than likely just a one-off, and I'm fine with that. Also, this show primarily focused on the King and Queen of the Ring tournament, which is fine. And the stories going out from the tournament. So the Oba Femi Brock Lesnar stuff, that was touched on again this week like it was last week. So that's fine there. Spoiler alert, Seth Rollins did not win. He did not advance. He got screwed out of his opportunity via the Vision. So they're going to continue that feud, which at this point is what it is. But this needs to be over with going into Night of Champions. And I think that's where it needs to end. I still think the plan is going to be Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. I know people are thinking it's going to be LA Knight, but I don't see LA Knight actually being the guy to be the one to go after Roman Reigns, right? I think that he'll probably end up facing like Jey Uso or whatever, something like that or whatever. Maybe LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. Something like that. But I don't expect LA Knight and Roman Reigns to go at it again at SummerSlam, right? It wouldn't make any sense at this point. Like, I get that LA Knight's been involved with the Bloodline for quite some time, but still, it just wouldn't make any sense, right? So I do think that it probably would end up being like LA Knight, Jey Uso, or LA Knight and Jacob Fatu down the line, probably at SummerSlam. But I don't see Roman and LA Knight running it back again for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. I think that's going to be reserved for Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns for SummerSlam, because that's the match that Triple H basically wants. And just because Seth Rollins didn't win King of the Ring still doesn't mean that he can't have an avenue to get there, right? So, yeah. So, we kick the show off with Oba Femi. He gets a really good reaction. Oba Femi puts up with the Paris crowd and everything else. Oba says they got a bunch to... they have so much to touch on. Then he mentions... how Paul Heyman doesn't like prediction. He likes spoilers, just like Oba Femi. So Oba Femi says that he's got a spoiler alert. He said he's going to run through every man in this tournament until he meets the final man. And that fight will be valiantly, but he'll fail. He'll fail. And Oba will take his rightful place as King of the Ring. So, Oba continues to talk about collecting trophies, and there's one that he's yet to collect, and that's the head of Brock Lesnar. So, he said that Brock got his win, and he disappeared. So, Oba says that all Paul Heyman has done is talk about unleashing his big bad beast, a.k.a. Brock Lesnar, but all Oba has seen the past 3 weeks is a big, bad bitch. So I like that. Good line there. Oba said that they're 1-1, but Brock will get what was coming to him. And Oba says he's going to see him down the road. So Dominik Mysterio comes out. He interrupts him. He says that Oba's not going to win and everything else. Dom puts over his accomplishments and how he's the king of the luchadors. And then he tries to distract Oba. So JD McDonough comes in. He hits Oba with a steel chair. Oba no-sells it, which was fucking awesome. Then Oba ends up destroying both Dominik Mysterio, and JD McDonough, taking them out. So, there's that. Okay, that's fine. And then Oba taunts Dom, saying that everyone knows that Rey is Dom's father, but next week he'll introduce Dom to his daddy. Okay, I like that. That's pretty okay there. All right. Moving on from that, this leads us into Seth Rollins. He's backstage with Kathy Kelly. So Seth Rollins said that he's now focused on a man he considered a brother, a man who he can't seem to win titles on his own, talking about Roman Reigns, a man who can't beat Seth Rollins when it matters the most. He tells Roman Reigns the whatever championship doesn't belong to him, it belongs to Seth Rollins. Okay, that's fine, whatever. Moving on, this leads us into the first match of the night. Liv Morgan defeats Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, and Chelsea Green to qualify for the Queen of the Ring. She advances, which is fine. This match was pretty okay for the most part. Good stuff here. Liv winning was kind of a shocker. I was thinking they were going to maybe have Becky win. I knew Chelsea Green wasn't going to win it at all. She was there just to be there. Same thing with Alexa Bliss. But Liv Morgan winning, I guess that's fine. She's going to obviously lose in the semifinals more than likely. Because, again, people get, things misconstrued about these Fatal 4-Ways. It's like, it's just a Fatal 4-Way, and then after that, it's going to eventually be a one-on-one. So I do expect for Liv to lose, and then from there, whoever she loses to, they'll probably end up doing the match again at Night of Champions in Saudi. So I could see that happening. So there is that. And again, the match was pretty okay. This is the best match Chelsea Green has had in a while. Moving on from that, this leads us into Penta. So he was backstage getting ready for his match. So Chad Gable shows up. He gets a pretty good reaction. Chad talks to Penta about what he did over the past couple of years. And he admits to masquerading as a luchador and insulting an entire culture, and all because he lost to Penta. Chad Gable talks about how it was a great match between the two of them, but he couldn't take the match loss lightly. He isn't expecting anything from the champ, but Chad is simply here to say he's sorry. So Penta understands. He says it takes a lot to admit when you're wrong, but if you want to do what's right about Lucha Libre, you need to talk to. So, okay, I like that. That's fine there. Okay, moving on from that. This leads us into Seth Rollins. He's wanted to get on this show. This is his second time. Wow. So Seth Rollins talks to Montez Ford about helping him out last week. He's interrupted by the Usos and Jacob Fatu. So Jay talks Seth down about what he had to say, hyping up the fact that he's the King of the Ring tournament. And he's ready to face Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship. Seth Rollins congratulates Jay on his path, but he says that he's not talking about the family. He's just talking about Roman. Seth Rollins talks some more smack to Jimmy about not being in the tournament before Jay tells Jacob to get this fool, which was hilarious. And then Jacob Fatu just stares him down, and then that was it. And then Seth Rollins, calls the Usos, Roman's bag boys. So I like that. So that's fine there. It is what it is. Whatever. Maybe something will come out of this with Montez Ford. Maybe this will lead to like a Montez Ford singles push at some point. Maybe we do, Bron Breakker, Montez Ford, Austin Theory at some point down the line, right? So I can see that happening. Moving on, we get a video package we get a video package hyping up Sol Ruka and Lyra Valkyria. So that was pretty nice there. So Ruka defeats Lyra Valkyria. She retains the women's Intercontinental Championship. Match was pretty okay for the most part. Lyra got her stuff in, and so Ruka hit the slow snatch out of nowhere, 1, 2, 3, and that was it. So good shit there. I like that. Great stuff. This is fine. Again, maybe Bayley will turn heel eventually. I think she will because they've, been frenemies for a minute. 1 minute they're best of friends, next minute they're at each other's throats. And I still think that's going to happen at some point. What are they going to really do with Lyra Valkyria going forward? I have no idea. The same thing with Bayley. Apparently, Bayley's contract is up, I think, at the end of the year, I think. I think she'll stick around. I don't see her going to AEW. I really don't. But that's what is going around in the rumor mill, that Bayley's contract is up at the end of the year, basically. So we'll have to wait and see what comes of that. But it's fine. Moving on. So the Usos, they confront Jacob Fatu for not having their back with dealing with Seth Rollins. Jacob Fatu tells them stop worrying about Seth Rollins and claiming that LA Knight has a lot to say, and probably still talking about the family. But so basically, Jacob Fatu's already not taking orders from the Usos, and he's basically saying that he's there to serve Roman and not them. So I like that. That's fine. Whatever. Moving on. This leads us into LA Knight. He comes out. He gets on the mic. He talks about his King of the Ring match on SmackDown and everything else. He says that Roman's empire is crumbling, and he's trying to hold on to any bit of power he can. But here on Raw, LA Knight is the chief. And so LA Knight said that he's going to go through this tournament, and he'll face Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship. Even if he has to go through Jimmy, Jay, Jacob, and John Jacob Jingle Heimerman, which is hilarious. So LA Knight continues to yap on and yap on. And then Jey Uso comes out. He tells LA Knight to keep his family name out of his mouth. Instead, that he's just going to issue a warning shot. So, there's that. And then LA Knight start talking shit about Jay's family, and then both guys just stare each other down. They take their shirts off, and that was it. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, come on. Like, no blows, no brawl. Which, to me, that's fine, but it is what it is. And I do expect for Jey Uso to advance. Like, come on. Like, we know that's what's going to happen. So, there's that. That's fine. Moving on, this leads us into Chad Gable. He's talking to Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee about what he did in the past a year or so. I mean, a year or two ago. But Dragon Lee says that they're cool, and that even though he took off Dragon Lee's mask, at least he understands now what the mask actually means. Rey Mysterio says that he understands that Chad wasn't trying to insult Lucha Libre when this all started, but after the mask versus mask match, Chad Gable understands how important the culture really is. Rey Mysterio tells Chad Gable that there's others he's hurt with his words and actions long before putting on the mask. So it seems like Chad Gable is going to more than likely apologize to Alpha Academy, which this is fine, I guess. Again, we thought that Chad Gable was going to be on Monday Night Raw, but on SmackDown, but it seems like he just switched to Raw, which is fine. I like it. So, yeah, I guess this is interesting at some point. And maybe we will get like a Maxine Dupree heel turn. I think that'll happen in due time as well. So, there's that. Moving on from that, this leads us into basically the match of the night. Penta defeats Rey Mysterio to retain the Intercontinental Championship. This match was fun, very good stuff. Rey ended up getting the 619 in here. Penta kicked out of that. Penta hit the Penta drive on Rey. Rey kicked out of that. Match continued, and then Penta ends up winning via the Mexican Destroyer for the 1, 2, 3, and then that was it. And I think Rey went for another 619, and then Penta got his knees up, and then he hit the Penta driver 1-2. I mean, the Mexican Destroyer 1-2-3, and that was it. So good stuff there. This was a fun ass match. I wish this would have been on pay-per-view, but this was a really good ass match, and it's worth watching. It was fun. It was very fun. It's good that Penta's getting a pretty decent push. It was nice of Rey to give Penta the rub, and I've been a fan of Rey for years and years and years. I've liked Rey for a while. I really loved when he won the Royal Rumble in 06, and won the title that year too, which was great. So I've loved Rey for years, and the stem cells that Rey's taking and everything else, that's working wonders for him. It's like he's moving like he's like 20 years younger or 10 years younger, right? So Rey's great, and Rey's really good. He's really good. It's great that he can still keep up, with guys like Penta and everything. So he's solid, man. Rey's that fucking dude. He really is. So, I just wish that this match could have been on pay-per-view. I think that would have been great, honestly. That would have been great, but we didn't get it, so it is what it is. Moving on from that, this leads us into okay, my bad, I'm sorry. Post-match, I apologize, guys. Post-match, Rey and Penta are attacked by Ethan Page and Rusev, and they beat the shit out of both guys. Dragon Lee tries to make the save, but to no avail. So this is fine. I like what they're doing with Rusev and Ethan Page. Makes perfect sense. I would love for them to be a tag team, honestly. I don't hate that idea, honestly. I don't hate the idea of Rusev and Ethan Page as a tag team. I think that would be great. Again, if WWE is going to continue to rebuild that tag team division, you might as well do it with Rusev and Ethan Page, right? But that's just me, though, thinking out loud. I think they'd be a great tag team, though. I really do. I honestly do. So good stuff here. Moving on from that, Raquel Rodriguez was on this show, and she vowed to take out Io Sky and everything else and advance in the tournament. Who really cares? Not really all that important, so whatever. Moving on from that, more Judgment Day bullshit. Roxanne Perez, she apologized to Liv Morgan for not focusing on the bigger picture of the Judgment Day. She hopes Liv Morgan or Raquel wins the tournament so the Judgment Day can hold all the gold, and thinks the best thing for Liv, would be for Liv and Raquel to face each other. So basically, Liv Morgan just ignores all that stuff, and she's just talking to Dom and JD McDonough. Who really cares about this shit? Whatever. Who really cares? It's not that important at all. Moving on, main event of the evening, Jevon Evans, he advances in the King of the Ring. He defeats Seth Rollins, Ricky Saints, a.k.a. Ricky Starks, and Tala Tonga, a.k.a. Hikuleo. Match was pretty okay. Seth Rollins almost won it until shenanigans happened because the Vision showed up. Austin Theory came in. Seth Rollins hit the stump. Austin Theory yanked out Seth Rollins, started attacking him and everything. Ricky Saints was trying to win the match and everything else. Braun Breaker showed up. He speared Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins didn't come back from that spear. Then it came down to Jevon Evans and Ricky Saints. Ricky was going to go for the Tornado DDT, his finish, but Jevon Evans reversed that. He ended up hitting the OG cutter for the 1-2-3, and Jevon Evans advances. So this is fine. Do I think Jevon Evans will be in the finals? Probably not. I mean, they could do Oba and Jevon, which would be fun. That would be fun. Do I think it'll happen? Probably not. Again, this is interesting. Seth Rollins, you would think that he was going to advance, but he didn't. So that to me is fine, and it kind of makes sense. It makes sense for him not to advance. Clearly, Seth Rollins is going to be the one to go after Roman Reigns. He doesn't necessarily need to be King of the Ring to do it. I think Dominik Mysterio, I think he's not going to advance as well. But my thing is, how do you end Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker? How do you end their feud? I would hope that they'll do like either a last man standing or an I Quit match or a steel cage match or something of that nature and stipulation to end their feud. And I do think that Seth Rollins will end up going over on Braun at Night of Champions in Saudi. Unless they're going to get us away on television, on like a random Raw, then that's fine too. But this thing has to end before SummerSlam. So there's that. But all in all, this show was okay for the most part. Before I end the review, apparently WWE has decided to push back Money in the Bank. It used to take place in July. Now it's taking place this year in October, which is weird. I guess because Nick Khan doesn't want to have to deal with the World Cup. But come on, dude, the World Cup's not that important. Like, it's really not that important. At some point, you have to take some risk. Like, you can't be afraid to go up against these against actual sports, right? Because there's multiple ways to consume wrestling nowadays. You can watch it on your phone, your tablet, your laptop. It's just a bunch of ways to watch it. So, whatever. But it is what it is. All in all, this was an okay episode of Monday Night Raw for the most part. Seth Rollins, my bad. Jevon Evans winning is fine. At least, he advances. This Rollins and Bron Breakker feud needs to end very soon. I enjoyed Penta and Rey. I thought that was great. And then the King and Queen of the Ring matches were pretty okay as well. So there's that. But for the most part, Raw was all right. What did you guys think? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.